It's great to be here once again. I always look forward to this event, so it's a pleasure to see you all here today. And thank you, Kovi, once again for bringing this community together and having some fun at the same time. So let's get right into it. Lots of things to discuss about new releases, things that are coming down the pipe from a Logic Apps perspective. So first up, let's talk just a little bit about integration environment. So this was something that was released at Ignite in public preview, and we've got some updates to share with you here today. So for those of you that may not be familiar with integration environment, this is a way for you to be able to group your resources together to be able to manage and monitor them more effectively. And then the other side to this is also business process tracking, which is going to allow you to bring business context into your integration solutions and track key business data. So from an integration environment perspective, this is a very general concept. So you can go ahead and model your different environments, much like a traditional IT landscape, or you can go ahead and model them based upon your business. So finance, marketing, operations, etc. Within inside of an integration environment, you then can go ahead and further group your resources together in the form of applications. So these would be generally related to a specific business process or perhaps a project that you're on, payroll, order processing, employee onboarding, etc. So what we've introduced here recently is end-to-end AIS monitoring. So you would have saw a little bit of this earlier today in Slava's keynote, but what we're able to do is for the resources that you've added to your integration environment is bring you a tailored experience and surfacing the information that you need to know in order to go ahead and monitor those specific resources. As mentioned before, we've got support for Logic Apps, for Service Bus, and for API management. So I'm going to jump in a demo here shortly, and I'll give you a closer look at this particular feature. Now, these are all based upon app insights, application insights, and they're exposed through a workbook for your visualizations. And so this is something that is also extensible because of the nature of the workbooks, but this is also very flexible, allows us to make changes quite quickly based upon your feedback. So if you do have feedback, do go ahead and submit a form, and we're happy to go ahead and meet with you subsequently to better understand what your needs are in this area. Next up is business process tracking. And the way we envision this solution is that we bring business subject matter experts into solution development. Generally, those are the subject matter experts that best understand the business process and provide them an opportunity to go ahead and to contribute. So this could be a business subject matter expert, it could be a business analyst, it could be an architect that's part of a project that goes ahead and defines a conceptual business process. As part of that business process, you've got various stages, and at each of those stages, you can define data properties that you would want to go ahead and collect. Now, once you've defined that business process, then a developer would come along and map that conceptual business process to an underlying technical solution. And so this will allow you to select a specific business stage and then map it to a specific workflow in order to capture key data at the right point in time. You go ahead and you deploy this business process. We emit this data reliably and quickly to Azure Data Explorer. And this is your data. This is your customer's data. And so this allows them to go ahead and extend this as they see fit. So whether they want to bring this into Power BI and then share that with the business community, they can. Or once again, using Azure Monitor Workbooks is another extensibility option as well. And so some of the updates related to business process tracking is, number one, this is now a top-level Azure resource. So when you go ahead and provision this, you will go into the Azure portal, you'll search for business process tracking, you will have the opportunity to provision that resource. Some of the side benefits of doing that is you now have more control over RBAC because it is an individual resource. If you want to establish locks, you can establish locks, and then naturally adding your own metadata through tags is possible as well. Probably the biggest feature that we've implemented this go round is the business process stage status. And I'd say this is the number one feedback item that we've had since November. And this allows you to go ahead and define what a stage status is. Is it successful or has it failed? And you have full control over the failure. This could be a technical exception, or this could be a business exception. You have full control over how you go ahead and define it. And then what you'll see, and once again, we'll see it in the demo as well, is that we've got the red-green show. So you'll be able to easily understand exactly where in the business process something has failed. We've also made some other incremental updates to the token picker. This was another big piece of feedback. Previously, we called it the business ID. We've now renamed it to be called the transaction ID, and we do support expressions, those Logic App workflow expressions, as part of the transaction ID. Also, variable support. Previously, we didn't support emitting data from a variable, and we do support that now. And then this is a minor thing, but just emitting Boolean values without you having to cast them to a string. And so that's something that's there as well. Now, we still see business process tracking as part of this unified vision. And with that in mind, we do allow you to then link the business process into an application. And that, once again, allows you to still manage these things more holistically, but gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you go ahead and provision these resources. So you may have saw this demo before, and we've enhanced it. And you'll see a little bit more why we did this tomorrow when we do talk about AI and how we publish data to the LLM. But the other piece that we've added or inserted here is safety management as another stage as part of the business process. And we'll see that when we talk about hybrid here in a few minutes. But the whole sort of purpose of this is you have a customer service scenario where you've got to orchestrate a business process across many different systems. A CRM, a work order management system, a safety management system, a marketing system, and then an LLM as well. And so this provides a good opportunity for you to be able to define what that business process is, and then be able to view that as all of these messages are exchanged across these various applications. So let's jump in here and see what this demo looks like. Okay, so we're in an integration environment, and we've got 5 different applications that have been defined. And then we've got one here called the City Power and Light Service, where we've got a business process that has been deployed as well. So we're going to click into that particular application. We are then going to be able to view all of the different resources that have been included here. So we've got an API management instance. We've got 3 different Logic App standard instances. We have a service bus namespace with several queues and topics within it. And this is basically how we've defined our application. If we want to go ahead and be able to check out the insights, we can just click on the Insights tab, select our Application Insights instance, and then we can go ahead and drill down into a specific Logic App. So we'll go ahead and check out this Work Order Management Logic App, and then we can see an overview of the run success, the action success rate, our trigger success rate, and then get more information about our workflows itself. So for each of the workflows, how are they performing? And then also another opportunity is to take a look at the specific runs for a specific workflow. So I'll go ahead and check out my work order complete. And then we can go ahead and see all of the runs that have taken place. And so this is Rohitha, who's here with us today from engineering, had published a sample earlier in the year about application insights and how you can build these types of experiences, including the ability to go ahead and resubmit. So you have the ability to view the actual run itself, and then also go ahead and resubmit if you see fit as well. Now, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go into the service bus and APIM side of things. Divya and I posted a blog this morning. We've got some more videos, so you can go ahead and check out the data that we expose for those services as well. Now let's shift gears over to the business process tracking. What I do have here is an existing business process that's deployed. If I go ahead and take a look at the editor, we can see all of these different stages that have been defined. So we've got some sequential steps that take place. Then what we have is some fan out, and we're going to go do some parallelism. And then we actually have some conditions in here as well. So those more advanced patterns are also available from that perspective. Now, to create a new stage, I can just go ahead and click Add a Stage, provide a name, and then a description if we want, and then the different properties that I would want to go ahead and define. Now, what's new here is that we do define the success and the failure. You always have to define success. Failure is optional. But if I want to define failure, I can go ahead and do so. Here, maybe I'll just call this like a tech error. And I would then have the opportunity to go ahead and populate that. So that's how I would go ahead and build this out. I can sort of continue to add different stages to this. Now, in terms of mapping, what I can now do is toggle this show data sources on and then select the specific data source, in this case, the workflow that I would want to use to go ahead and emit the data. So there's an important concept here called a point in time. Basically, at that point in the workflow, we're going to go ahead and collect all of the data properties that you've gone ahead and defined, and we're going to then push that out to Azure Data Explorer. So in this case, if we scroll down, we've got a send message, which represents sort of the end of our happy path, and we're going to go ahead and collect all of this information, ticket number, customer name, etc. Now, if we look at the failure, here I've got a technical error, and I'm just going to go ahead and define that as within inside of my catch scope. And so this is where I would go ahead and be able to extract the technical errors if that I wanted to go ahead and push out. Now, I can use expressions here, the result expression, the action expression, in order to get more details at runtime about what's taking place. Now, the other scenario I just want to show is the business exception. So here we've got a safety check, and as part of that safety check, if we actually have a safety incident, we want to actually flag that as we have a field technician that goes and supports someone whose power is out. So in this case, we've got a condition downstream, and if we do detect that we have a safety incident, we are going to consider that a failure, so it shows up red, and we're going to go ahead and grab information about it. Conversely, if we sort of don't have a safety incident, we're going to just call this as being successful or healthy from that perspective. So that's how we'd go ahead and define our business process and do that mapping. We would then go ahead and deploy that business process, and under the hood, we'll create tracking profiles and inject them into the Logic Apps with those instructions on when to go ahead and collect that information and what information to go ahead and collect. So to show this in a demo format, I'm going to use Microsoft Copilot Studio, formerly Power Virtual Agents, and I'm going to go ahead and record a power outage. So I'm an end customer, my power is out. So I'm just going to reach out to this chatbot, say my power is out, and yes, I'm experiencing a power outage. I'm then asked for some information. I'm just taking a shortcut here. So we'll just do a lookup on my specific account. Validate my site ID, that is the right address, and then I can say that what's some additional details about what contributed to this power outage. I could say we had a big storm. So we'll go ahead and provide that information, and then now we're going to go ahead and get a ticket number. This is a ticket number from the actual CRM for which I've managed or inserted this case. So if we flip out over to our business process tracking experience, what we see here is we do have that case that's automatically been created. So this is the same case number, so 1181, and we've basically created the ticket in the CRM, and then through integration, we've now created that same case inside of the work order management system. So if I go ahead and click into these particular stages, I can see the information that was collected. Now, as we move through the business process, we're now in that work order management system, and we would have a dispatcher go ahead and assign this to a field technician. We will now see this progress inside of the business process itself. And this happens quite quickly. So let's go ahead and dispatch this. I saw Mick Badrin earlier. Mick's going to have a cameo as a field technician here. So we've got Mick. Don't be safe out there, Mick. But we're going to go ahead and dispatch this order to Mick. If we head back over to our business process tracking, we can now see that that has been dispatched, and we now see that it's assigned to Mick Badrin. So no smoke and mirrors here. This is generally quite quick. This is definitely sort of one of the benefits of using ADX as that backend data store for us. We'll now move through the rest of the tickets. Mick is now on site. He needs to provide a safety assessment. All is clear from that perspective. And so we'll go ahead and update that ticket. And then Mick is able to go ahead and to replace a relay. And he's capturing the material ID here. And we're going to go ahead and close out this particular ticket. Oops, I think I need to flip this to complete. And once again, if we head back over to business process tracking, we're now going to see these updates in what I would call near real time or pretty close to it. And we can see that the work order is now complete. We've closed the CRM ticket. We've communicated the outage is now resolved to the customer. We've done the safety check, and I'm pretty sure the inventory will be done. The inventory is now done from that perspective. So once again, we're now able to model all of that and to be able to represent, the success and failure situations as well. So that is that part of the demo. I'm going to save the failure status for the next demo, so stay tuned on that. So let's talk a little bit about Logic Apps standard, so the hybrid deployment model that was discussed earlier today. And so this allows you to go ahead and deploy your Logic Apps, your standard Logic Apps, to customer-managed infrastructure. And by customer-managed infrastructure, that can mean a few different things. Number one, it can mean on-premise. If on-premises is important to you, then you would have the ability to deploy there. If you have sort of a private cloud implementation, that would be another option. And then also public clouds. And by public clouds, obviously we've got our own cloud that we like quite a bit, but there are other options out there as well. In terms of the scenarios that we're targeting, we are focusing on semi-connected. Now, what does that mean? So this solution will give you local processing. The workflows run on premises, on your infrastructure. The data is stored in your local storage. In this case, it would be SQL Server. And you naturally have local network access. But you have the control plane or the management experience from the Azure portal. And this is facilitated through the use of Azure Arc, where you can then reach into your environment in order to call things like view the run history or view which apps have been deployed, for example. Now, we are deploying these workflows into containers that sits inside of the ACA, the Azure Container Apps platform itself. This is in early access preview, so I will have a submission form here shortly that you can populate, and we will reach out subsequently, and then we're targeting that public preview in the summer. Now, we've been chatting with a lot of customers over the past year plus about this, and I would sort of categorize or sort of bucket the use cases in these three different areas. There are some customers, predominantly coming from BizTalk experiences or backgrounds. They need to be able to run these transactions locally. Sometimes it's for regulatory or compliance reasons. We also have these edge computing scenarios as well, where you might have your ERP, you might have like a manufacturing system or an inventory system. Those need to work together. They need to have high availability, and you want to run your integration workloads beside them in a sort of a co-hosted manner. So we do run into those situations. We've got this sort of middle ground, the Azure hybrid. In my opinion, this is kind of the sweet spot. We obviously have a managed service. We feel like that is the most cost-effective way for you to go ahead and build these solutions. And there's a lot of those workloads that you might already have in the cloud, but you have selective workloads that you do need to run on-prem. And we do have some customers that sort of fit into this category where they want the ability to run some of their maybe confidential computing workloads or some of those edge use cases, and they're just going to go ahead and deploy on-premise for those needs. And once again, the benefit here is unified management. You're not going to two different experiences to manage your Logic Apps in two different places. You go to a single place that allows you to go ahead and do that. And then to a lesser extent, multi-cloud. So generally, when we're dealing with some of these very large customers, they do have a multi-cloud strategy, and they want to be able to, once again, have a single integration platform, but have more flexibility in terms of how that is hosted. And so that could also be key proximity to key LOB systems, like maybe your ERP is running in a different public cloud. You want your Logic Apps to be close to that ERP. And then certainly ISVs, some interest in this area too, where people want to build solutions and then deploy them as containers into their customers' infrastructure. This gives them a little bit more flexibility as well. And so the way we kind of see the customer journey here is that you go ahead and build these workflows in the same manner. Like if that's VS Code or if that's Azure Portal, you then go ahead and check them into your source control, you build your deployment pipelines, and then this really becomes a deployment target. Is this Microsoft Manage and you're going to deploy to an app service plan or workflow service plan? Or is this customer managed and you're going to deploy to an Arc-enabled Kubernetes cluster? Really, it's up to you when you're deploying to make that particular decision. And regardless of where you deploy it, you still have that unified management and monitoring experience as well. Okay, so just back to the demo here. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have a bit of a slip and fall with one of our field technicians, and this is going to require a safety incident to go ahead and to be logged. And so what we're now going to do is we're going to log this safety incident. And when we do, there's an on-premises safety management system that we need to go ahead and integrate with. And so we've got the customer service and work order management Logic Apps. Those are all running in the cloud. We've got service bus queues participating. We've got the Power Platform all running in the cloud. And then we've got the safety management, which is all on premises. And so we've joined these different solutions through a VNet, and we're using SQL Server from a data storage perspective. So let's jump back over to the demo. Now, I have a work order that is in progress, just in the interest of time. So if we go ahead and check out 1179, we can see that we now have the field technician on site. So we're going to go ahead and update that particular order. So that was 1179. And here, let's go ahead and edit this. Unfortunately, fictional Steve Smith here slipped and fell and pulled a muscle. So we're going to go ahead and now complete this order. Steve was able to finish the job even though he was in a little bit of pain, but because he slipped, we need to investigate from a safety perspective. So let's head back over to our business process, and we'll just give this another refresh. Okay, the work order is now complete. We can see that the safety check failed because we did have an incident that took place. So that's a business process failure, and we're capturing some additional information. And we can see that the rest of the business process has now completed. And we can also see that if we look here on the sort of the view transaction list, that we've now completed the job, right? So we've got 9 stages that succeeded, 1 stage that failed. If there's at least 1 failure, we'll mark this red, and that will just give you another sort of indicator that there's some issue here. Okay, so what's happened now with the safety management system? So if we head over to our, this is going to be our hybrid deployed Logic app, we're going to see a few different things here. So we do have a connected environment, right? So this is that ACA connected environment for container apps. We do have a custom location. So this is going to be basically our entry point into how we communicate with the on-premises Logic Apps itself. And then we also have the application URL. And you can see here, well, I guess it's cut off, but basically this has a k4apps.io. So you know that this endpoint is actually running on a Kubernetes cluster itself. If we scroll down here, we do have some additional settings that you wouldn't see in your app service plan or your workflow service plan version of Logic Apps. Things like the container registry that we're using and the actual container image that we're using for those particular Logic Apps. But you will see some familiar experiences. Here we've got the workflows, and these would be the workflows that are used as part of this particular solution. We've got, our run history that does exist here as well. Might have to zoom. Right, so you can go ahead and see your run history, and then you would also follow the breadcrumbs experience where you can see exactly step by step exactly what happens. So that same experience that you're very familiar with when running in the cloud is now available to us as well when we're dealing with these hybrid logic apps as well. All right, so just in terms of like where we're at, this is early access preview. You can kind of think of this a little bit like a private preview. So we're still very active in working on this. This is that feature set, kind of where we're at and then where we're going next. So there are a lot of like core capabilities that we are supporting today, including like your XSLT 2.0 support, the .NET 8 custom code that is actually in public preview now for both when we're talking about workflow service plans and also as part of this hybrid. We do have target-based scaling that's available. We also are using SQL as a storage provider for the backend. Naturally, when you deploy this in Azure, that is Azure storage, but if it's running on premise, we got to keep that storage all local. And then some of the things that we're actively working on as well that will be available in our summer public preview is the file connector using SMB, the SAP connector, XSLT 1.0 and .NET Framework support, and then also the .NET Framework custom code support. So this has become a pretty interesting engineering challenge for us to solve. Naturally, when you're running on Kubernetes, you're running on Linux, and these are .NET investments that historically run with Windows. But there's been some tech in Microsoft that we've been investigating, and we're close to being able to plug this in. The other thing is the billing model. So this is something that people have always been asking for, and that is something that will be available when it comes time for public preview. Now, if you ask me at lunch what the billing model is, I can't help you, but at happy hour towards the end, we'll see. We'll see. No promises. Okay, so this is the link that you want to go ahead and capture here. We are looking for customers that we can validate the offering with. We have access to the Microsoft product group, the opportunity to provide feedback and influence and shape our product roadmap. In return, what we do ask is you go ahead and install it, you try it, you participate in some feedback sessions, and we do require an NDA, but we can work with your account team if you don't have one of those. So I'll let people just finish taking photos, and then we'll sort of jump into the next topic. Oh, okay, so there is a public preview of what was called ARC-enabled logic apps. What is fundamentally different between that and what I'm talking about today is the extension that was used for that particular offering. So that was all based upon the app service extension. That extension is something that is not being invested in. And sort of the reason for this is really more of a strategic bet that we're making inside of Microsoft. When that first came out, the ACA, the Azure Container Apps platform, wasn't available. That is now GA. And from a technology perspective, that was a better fit for us. And so this isn't just logic apps that's going down this route, but other services as well are going down that route as well. So it's one of those things where we haven't officially deprecated that yet because we need to have a successor in place. This is really the successor for that. I would also say, in terms of where we were with that and sort of what we're offering now, we're much further along. Things like the XSLT, the .NET 8 custom code, being able to support the .NET Framework pieces as well. We're much further ahead from that perspective. All right, so a few other announcements to share here in the next 5 minutes. So similar to what Wagner had showed with C#, we also have a scripting capability coming up for PowerShell. So this is something that you can expect late July. This will be available in the Azure portal in late July. We'll look to support VS Code in the future as well. This will be for Logic App Standard. You will be able to add both public and private modules. And once again, Token Picker and IntelliSense will be supported. And so we just really feel for customers that want to automate their workloads and be able to perhaps manage those more holistically, more centrally, this is a great solution for them. You naturally be able to invoke automation runbooks and to be able to go ahead and also just provide some more extensibility for your workflows that take place today. So that's something to be looking for. Another thing that's been announced today, actually, if you go on our blog, Harold has a blog post related to Rules Engine. And Daniel Toomey will be providing a demo tomorrow, I believe, in his session. And what this is naturally we've taken some inspiration from BizTalk and the Rules Engine that was available there. And as part of our BizTalk migration investments, this is one of those investments. And this will allow you to go ahead and basically run rules that are designed inside of the rules composer. And so this is a flavor or a fork of the BizTalk rules composer. It's a little bit different. That composer uses SQL as a backend. Here we're using XML and basically files to go do that. The facts themselves can be based on XML or can be based upon .NET. And so that is one of those things that you can go ahead and check out. There is a demo here. I'll probably just show it some pieces of it just in the interest of time. So you would go ahead and use the composer. You would define your rule set. And once you've gone ahead and defined those rule sets, you would create a project, a Logic App Workspace project, similar to what Bill was showing there earlier. And what we'll do is provide a sample for you that includes a sample rule set. Once again, you would go ahead and you would build that particular solution. And when you build that solution, we will bin place those rules and basically any of the other dependencies in that custom lib folder. And then you would have the ability to go ahead and call that from a built-in action. And once again, because of the investments we've made around custom code, you would also have the opportunity to go ahead and use the debugger in terms of stepping through that solution itself. And so the use case here was, basically a discount. So someone's looking for a discount, and based upon their demographics, their age, and whether or not they were, their status, if they were gold, true or false, then we would apply this discount. And this is a chaining. These rules are chained, and so basically you can go ahead and implement this today. So check out the blog post. Harold does have a video, and then also Daniel Toomey tomorrow morning is going to be talking about rules as well. A couple other announcements just to make here quickly. The built-in EDI capability, so AS2, EDI, or Edifact X12, these built-in connectors are now GA. This will run on top of your compute, so naturally we have more capabilities when it comes to throughput and larger payloads. This also can run, against your VNet. You can inject or connect your Logic Apps instance to a VNet as well. Then some updates just on the integration account premium edition. So this is still in public preview, but we have made some investments here. So we do support availability zones. There's no limit on the number of artifacts that you can include in these in this instance itself. And we're also actively working on VNet support as well. Another area that we're actively working on is templates. So you've probably seen this if you've deployed a Logic App consumption workflow in the past. And really, we're looking to take this to the next level. And I think by doing this for Logic App Standard gives us really a great opportunity to go ahead and to do that. And so when you think about Logic Apps Standard, we naturally can have one or more workflows as part of that particular Logic App itself. So this allows us to build out some more sophisticated templates and also target more of those B2B or industry-specific accelerators that people are looking for. A big part of this as well is the ability to include data transformations as part of that. So if you're trying to do order to cash and you're trying to go from Salesforce to SAP, those naturally have schemas. We can go ahead and provide you at least with a starting point of kind of the core fields and allow you to get up to speed quite quickly. And certainly we see this a lot in our B2B and industry vertical use cases, especially healthcare. And also we do see customers that are interested in being able to define their own templates for their own organization so that they've got that repeatability and a common starting point as well. So that's another core use case that we are targeting as well. So if you're interested in this feature, go ahead and take a picture of that link, aka.ms/Logic Apps templates. And we'd love to hear your feedback on this particular feature and what we can do to help out in this area. So that is my time. I'll leave you with sort of the same slides that Wagner showed as well. The best way to stay up to date is our blog. Go ahead and check out that blog today. There's a few posts that were released. We had the scripting for C#, that was on Friday. I published the business process tracking and integration environment post today. We've got Harold that has another post out there today. And I suspect we'll have probably a couple others this week as well. So with that, feel free to find me at lunch or breaks. Happy to chat more about what we've just discussed here. And then also tomorrow I'll be joining you to talk more about AI, and pretty excited about that session too. So thanks again.